We're doing some studio updates today, but most of them you're probably not going to notice on camera. What's up guys, and welcome to Top Shelf Media. So like I mentioned, today we are going to do a studio update, and we're going to get into those updates here very shortly, but I just wanted to let you guys know because it's not really something you're going to see, but I had this idea of what I wanted to do with my camera, and then that spiraled into a few other things. What I'm going to do is, if you watched my videos for any period of time, you'll know that I have my two studio lights are mounted to my ceiling, so that way I can fold them up against the ceiling and out of the way when I'm not using them. So my thought process was I needed something to get my camera out of the way too, because it's a tripod, it's in the way. My studio is not very big, so I just wanted something that I could just easily move it out of the way. And the biggest part was I wanted to be able to replicate a shot. So right now, if I'm shooting something and a kid gets sick, I have to go pick him up from daycare and I have to stop shooting for the day. I have to go to work, I have to do any number of things. A lot of times, at some point before I can get back and start shooting, something gets moved. And usually that's my tripod because it's right by the door to my office. So what I wanted to do was be able to get that up out of the way, but be able to replicate the shot so it always gets put back in the same spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the same things that I have my lights connected to, I'm going to connect my camera to as well. And I'm going to show you the parts that I got that I'm going to piece together that hopefully will make this work. But I had also decided that because I'm going to hang it from that pole from the ceiling, why not attach a monitor to that pole as well, and then that way I have a monitor. Because right now I just use the tiny little screen on the side of my Canon 70D. Now another thing we're going to change while we're doing this process is I decided to change how my top-down shot looks. If you've watched my videos for a while, you'll know that I had a pole sticking on my desk right here. That was a pole that went up and then across to then get my top-down shot. Well, I decided to repurpose that. I took parts of that apart so that way I can attach it straight to the ceiling, and then I can just take it and push it straight up when I'm not using it. So that's going to be really nice. That way I can get it up and out of the way, but then it just comes straight down and it's looking straight down where I need it to. So that's going to be great. And then with pieces of the other things that I bought for this project, I'm going to try and put a hair light up there. I did have to buy an articulating arm to do that, but one of the parts that I got came with a plate that I should be able to connect that to. So we will see. But let's go ahead and get this stuff unboxed so that way I can start actually planning this out and make sure that what I bought is going to work for what I want it to do. I've already taken down my top-down shot, so unfortunately we're not going to have that for this part of the video because I took it apart and I can't find all the parts to it, the ones that I discarded because I wasn't going to use anymore. So yeah, let's go ahead, we'll get this thing unboxed. Big box for just a little piece of equipment. That box is very dusty. All right, so we have the new stuff. I could count my MC light, that's going to be the hair light, if I can get it to work. That's about the only thing that I don't know if I have everything that I need to make it work, because I have this to attach it to. I have the plate goes with this thing that I don't need because this is attaching to this. So there's a bunch of I'm Frankensteining some of these pieces together to make this work. So that's about the only thing. The hair light's about the only thing that I don't know is going to get done today. Everything else I know. Mounting the pole here for my top-down shot, that's easy. I already have all the pieces for that. And then this is for the camera. And I'm going to kind of show you how this goes together as I'm putting it together. But we are missing the monitor mount. I'm also eventually buying a new camera, which is what kind of sparked this whole thing to begin with. I should have all the pieces to do the camera mount and the top-down shot mount. So let's go ahead without wasting any more time. Let's just go ahead and start putting this together. So the first thing we're gonna do is get this mounted for the camera and the monitor. And I don't remember the brand name for this. I'll put a link in the description to everything that I'm using today. But this is what I'm gonna use to hang the camera, and then that upright mount will go right here, and we should be in business. Now these things aren't hard. I did both of those. Fairly easy to install. They do give you these anchors to use on the corners here. And like I said, I'll give you close-ups here while I'm installing it. But they do give you those anchors, but I don't trust just those holding into the drywall on the ceiling. So I will put screws into at least 2 of these holes that I will have it so that it's centered right on a rafter there, and then those anchors will go on either side of the rafter. So it's worked out really well for those so far. I think I have 4 screws in there total plus those anchors. So I'll probably do the same thing with this just because it worked out really well. I did notice too, this thing does rotate, but it doesn't rotate enough for you to really get a screw in there straight. So I believe when I put those up, I think I had to take this apart and just put the plate up there on its own. So probably gonna go that route, but let's go ahead and get this thing installed. So the first thing I did was I found the ceiling joist. And I know I said rafters earlier. I'm not a carpenter. I can almost guarantee I will say rafters again in this video, but I found the ceiling joist that I wanted to use with the stud finder, and I took the plate and marked out the 4 screw holes that'll go into the joist. After that, I drilled out the holes and put in 2 of the 4 screws and used the plate to mark the anchor holes. After the anchor holes were marked, I could take down the plate and drill out the holes. I found that when installing the anchors, it was a lot easier to put the nut on the end of the bolt and then pound it up in there, because if the nut's not on there and you try to hit the bolt, it'll just come out the top and it'll be stuck in your ceiling. Once all 4 anchors were installed, I could put the plate back up and screw it in place. Then came the fun task of trying to put the nuts and the washers on a bolt that could slide up and down inside the anchor. I tried pliers to no avail. Eventually I just lined everything up and turned the nut with my fingers, putting very little pressure on the nut, and used gravity to finally get it seated onto the bolt. Pretty sure I could hang from that. Don't do it. Do not try and hang from those. Don't do it. Now that the plate was secure, I could finally attach the arm, and it was a tight squeeze to tighten these bolts, but I got it done. Alright, so we got this thing mounted, and it seems pretty sturdy. I do need to probably tighten those bolts a little bit, but it's holding, which is awesome. So now I can actually go ahead, I'm going to grab this, and let's get this installed. Installing this upright mount was really simple. Just loosen the screw, put it on the end of the arm here, and tighten it back down. Camera's ready to be mounted. Unfortunately, that's what I'm shooting on right now. So let's switch to the ZV-1, and we'll get this on here and see how it looks. Like I said, I don't have the monitor mount for this just yet. It's supposed to be here today. And I have a temporary monitor to put on there just to test it. But I will be ordering a new monitor here very shortly. So let's get the camera on here, and then we can move on to the other 2 things we need to mount to the ceiling. So let's get that done. Attaching my camera wasn't difficult either. I did find it easier to take the ball mount off and attach that to my camera first, and then attach all of it to the upright mount. I'm really happy with that. It's gonna look even cooler once I get the monitor on there. I'll probably get some sort of quick release for this ball mount, so that way I don't have to worry about taking this off, turning it, because right now I gotta spin the whole camera to get it on and off of there. And I like it. I think it looks good. Let's move on. I just checked Amazon. My package for the mount is actually like 8 stops away as of right now. So I think I'm gonna wait and see if that gets here before I move all this stuff around. So let's do that. And guess who forgot to turn their mic back on when the package arrived? Anyway, this monitor mount is made by, I think it's pronounced WALI, but it was fairly inexpensive and really easy to install. I just unscrewed the clamp for the pipe, put the pipe in, and tightened it back down. Then I could put the TV side of the mount on the monitor, slide them together, and tighten the screw on top, and that was it. Well, until this happened. Okay, it looks like something's not tight like it's supposed to be. This should be up here. That could have been very bad. So I took the camera back off as well as the monitor, and then after a few minutes of trying to find the right size Allen wrench, I was able to actually get it tightened back down, and it seems to be working really well. Okay, I think we got it back on there, and if I can't pull it down. I'm super happy with this. Unfortunately, that's what you get as a display from the 70D. So not much I can do about that, but it's better than looking at that tiny little screen on the side of the camera. So that is awesome. I am super happy with this. Like I've said, I think I've said it 1,000 times. This is fantastic. Let's go ahead and keep going. I got to get my desk put into position so I can see it there, and then figure out where exactly in the ceiling I need to mount my top-down camera. Okay, so this is being repurposed. This was the arm that went from my desk up and over to get my top-down shot, and all it does is I can make it longer or shorter as I need. And the nice thing about this is it's long enough that I can get fairly close to the table once I put it up here, but I didn't want anything that was going to be hanging down so low that when I walked by it, I would hit my head. And this, luckily, is no problem. Like, here's my head standing right underneath it. So I still got, a good few inches. Now, if I come in here jumping and stuff, then I'm gonna hit it, but I think it's gonna work really well. I think this is kind of right where I want it, and there's a stud or one of the rafters right here for the ceiling. So that'll be real nice. That means that this should be a super easy install. So most of the parts that I'm using for this mount came from my original top-down shot, but I decided I wanted it off my desk because I found myself hovering over the desk when trying to do unboxings because touching the desk would cause the camera to shake. So to fix that issue, I decided to mount it to the ceiling. The only part that I had to buy was the actual mounting bracket that I could put the bolt through and attach it to the ceiling. So just like before, I started by marking my holes, and then I could pre-drill into the ceiling joist. And then all there was to do was screw it in. Now here's the thing, before I get people in the comments saying, why would you put that in the middle of your room? That's so stupid. It's my office, not yours. Now it's time to install the hair light. And I was kind of droning on here a bit in my explanation, so here is a more concise version. This plate came with the upright camera mount, and since I don't need it for that, I decided to repurpose it. I do need to switch out I am not even sure what this thing is called. Let's just call it a tripod mount, I guess. But I need to switch it out because the one that came on this is flat on top, and I need it to be a 1/4" screw. So I have this one that's from my old top-down shot setup, but in order to put this on, I have to drill out one of these center holes in the metal plate. So I got the plate drilled out, and then it was time to find the ceiling joist and mark the holes. With the holes marked, I pre-drilled and I could install the plate. With that in place, I could get everything attached to it, and as you can see here, I was having a little bit of trouble screwing on the articulating arm. That's because I forgot to put on the tripod mount. And my only guess is that the pitch on the bolt and the pitch on the tripod mount were just a little bit different, but I was able to correct this mistake and we're all set. All right guys, I am really happy with how this project turned out. I think it looks really good. Tell me what you guys think. I love having my camera on that. I haven't tried folding it up yet to see how well that's gonna work. I'm excited to test that out, and I probably won't just leave my camera on there when I raise it up. I'm really happy with how this top-down shot turned out. I think it looks really good. You can't see it in my shot here. I think it looks really nice. I think it's going to work out really well. One less thing to have attached to my desk so that way when I'm moving it, I have to worry about it, being in the way. Because I also use this for like my thumbnail shots or product photography and stuff like that. I move this desk around my office, and having that attached to the side over here was kind of just a pain. So I'm really happy I was able to get this to work so that way I didn't need to do that anymore. And then we have the hair light back there, and as you can see, it does put a little bit of a light right here. I might have mounted it a little too far back. Maybe I should have moved it up a little bit more, but for now, I think it's gonna work out just fine. Hey, if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I've put things on screen for you to go check out. We will have more reviews coming here soon now that I have this setup done, but until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and I will see you in the next video.